In this lecture, we're going to explore another data type called arrays. Arrays were designed for storing a collection of values. For example, let's say we were hired to develop a food tracking application. Users may want to store a list of their favorite foods. One solution would be to store the foods in a variable. In our script, let's create a variable called food1 with a value of salad. Afterward, I'll create another variable called food2 with a value of burger. I can continuously create variables for each of my favorite foods. However, this process can be cumbersome. Creating a unique variable for each food item is not scalable. What if we need to remove an item from our list? What if we need to add more foods or replace existing foods? Managing the variable names is tedious as the list grows. Arrays can simplify the process. PHP allows developers to store a list of values from within a single variable. Let's try creating an array by completely removing these variables except the data variable. Next, let's update the data variable's value to a pair of square brackets. Arrays are created with a pair of square brackets. Inside these brackets, we can start writing a list of values. Strings, booleans, integers, and floats can be inserted within an array. In addition, arrays are not constrained to a single data type. We can insert a number followed by a string. Let's add our list of favorite foods as strings. To separate each item in an array, we can use a comma. I've added 3 items to my array. Feel free to use different values. After adding our values, we can access a specific value using square brackets. Below the variable, update the variable dump function with the following value, data1. You're already familiar with the syntax. Items in arrays can be accessed via their index. Behind the scenes, PHP assigns a number to each item in our array. As mentioned before, PHP starts counting at 0. Therefore, the first item in the array has an index of 0. The second item has an index of 1, so on and so forth. In this example, we're accessing the second item from the array. As you can see, the second item has appeared as the output. What if we want to view the entire array? In that case, we can omit the square brackets from the variable dump function like so. This time, the entire array gets rendered. There are a few things worth mentioning. Firstly, the number of items in the array is rendered from within the parentheses. Secondly, the data types for the items in the array are presented. Lastly, the index of each item starts from 0 and increments by 1 for each item in the array. We're not limited to creating an array. Sometimes you may want to update items. Specific items can be updated through the square bracket syntax. Back in our script, let's update the second item in the array. Type the following with me, data1 equals chicken. Once again, we're accessing a specific item from an array. This time, we're updating the value that has been assigned an index of 1. Before testing our code, there's one more thing I want to show you. New items can be added to an array by writing a pair of empty square brackets. For demonstration purposes, let's add a new item to our array. By not accessing a specific index, PHP adds the value at the end of the array. Looking at the output, the new item has an index of 3. In addition, the array size has changed from 3 to 4. Adding a new item to the array has increased its size. PHP was able to successfully add a new item to our array. Overall, arrays can be a powerful feature for storing a collection or list of data. If you think about it, most applications deal with lists. A list of users, posts, settings, and images are examples of data that can be stored in an array. Arrays have so much more to offer. In the next lecture, let's continue exploring other features of arrays.